All right, today we're going to talk about rational numbers. We've talked about integers, which are whole numbers and their opposites. Whole numbers, the key. We'll get to that in a little bit. But rational numbers, here's the definition. Let's take a look. A rational number is any number that can be written as a over b, where a and b are integers and b does not equal 0. Fractions, decimals, and integers are all rational numbers. Wow. Do you get that? Do you understand that? Do you get it? I don't. That makes about as much sense as this thing on my head. Okay? I don't like that definition because it's hard to understand, especially as a 6th grader. As a teacher, I look at that and I think, okay, I've had a lot of math. I can somewhat understand that. But a 6th grader? Probably not. So, this is the definition. You might hear this a lot, but I'm going to explain it a little bit so it makes a little bit more sense. Let's get rid of this. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what a rational number is. It was talking about it's any integer, whole number, that can be written as a over b, basically as a fraction. And as long as that bottom number, the b that they talk about, is not a 0, it's a rational number. So I'll give you an example. It talked about a over b, and that a and b are both integers. They have to be integers, okay? So let's give an example. So we're just going to pick a random integer. Remember, an integer is a whole number. So I'm going to pick 3. Okay? Cool. All right. B is also an integer. So I'm going to pick another random one. 4. We have a fraction. That is a rational number because all rational numbers can be decimals, they can be fractions, and they can be integers or whole numbers. Okay? Now, in the definition it said as long as b, the bottom number, is not 0, it's still a rational number. So what is not a rational number is if you take that bottom number and that number is a 0. If that's the case, this right here, not a rational number. Okay? It's as simple as that. So basically you can take any number, make it into a fraction, not any number, but any integer, make it into a fraction, and as long as this bottom number isn't a 0, rational number. Okay? Let me give you an example. Because remember, rational numbers can be fractions, decimals, integers. We've got a fraction. We knocked that one out. There's your fraction. Rational number. But what about a decimal? Can that be written with a over b? Absolutely. How do you say that? You say 3/10. Rational number. Look at that. Simple stuff, okay? So, where we were talking about integers as being whole numbers, rational numbers can be parts of a whole, or basically fractions or decimals. And that's the key I wanted you to understand. That jargon there, you'll need it eventually, but it's confusing. You can look back on this, see what the definition is, and then get a little bit of an explanation about it, okay? Next video that I'm going to make is going to have to do with how you're going to apply those using number lines. So I want to talk about number lines. We talked about number lines before, ones that went like this. Okay? We talked about that. But there's also other number lines that go like that. Ooh. And we'll talk about that and how that relates to comparing rational numbers using a number line, kind of like we compared integers using a number line. We'll see you then.